Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome to my hobby blog. Today we are doing the first episode of a new series where we go episode by episode through the animated Batman series from 1991, 1992 maybe. And today we are joined again by Cultflixfix24. Welcome back.
Thanks, Christian, for having me again. And I'm excited to go through this since it's been many years and seems like a real fun and interesting series that we'll get talking about here. And a long time watch for me. So thanks for having me again.
Yep. I have never actually seen this series. This is the first time for me. We way back, I think last summer, we went through the Zatoichi series, and I was like, hey, kind of leading the charge on that. And then we finished it, did basically Withering Watch Power forever. And then I was like, we should do another series. And we were talking about it, and I was like, the Batman series is like $40 on Amazon. Like, it's so cheap for what it is. It's like over 100 episodes, 2 movies, a bunch of special features, documentaries, everything. And I was like, hey, we should do that. And you were like waiting for a deal on it. And then out of nowhere, Kevin Conrad died like the day that we decided that we were going to do it. And I was like, there's no better timing for this. We need to like do something now. And so here we are. It was a really bad timing.
That's a coincidence that Kevin Conroy died. That's like just, we didn't even plan it. Like you were talking about it weeks before, like telling me, let's do this. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, I hear the news. I'm like, this is for a reason. It's got to
Yeah,
be
yes,
for a
we
reason
gotta
we're
do it
doing
now.
this. Yeah.
But
But man, what a coincidence that is, man.
yeah, this series is one that I've been wanting to watch for a very long time, and I was always nervous about it because I was like, oh, it's for kids. I don't know if I'll like it. And as I began YouTube, I started watching other YouTubers, and a lot of reviewers were like, no, it's still good. It's still great. And I was like, okay, fine. Maybe it appeals, to adults too. And just to give a blanket reaction so far of the first 13 episodes, because the way we are doing this is by disc. So I have the box set here. I took out the one case, but that's what it looks like. It has a booklet jammed into the side of it, so I put it in the plastic case instead. And it has a little nice, helpful guide about every episode title, every special feature. I don't know if you tried this. It blew me away how impossible it is. I don't know if you can read that, but on every episode on this side, on the, I guess, the right side where my pinky is,
Mhm.
it says there's an introduction by the lead story guy talking about every episode. And I was like, oh, I want to watch that. Nowhere to be found in the main menu. Were you able to find it? Cause
No, I wasn't.
I looked in the audio, the fucking special features. I went into the different commentary track, audio options, everything. Found it no way. So I don't know. I don't know where it is. So I
To
didn't
tell you
have.
tell you the truth, I didn't even check, so I can't even say honestly.
Yeah, like there was nothing, and so I have no info from that. But they do have a really cool promo reel that they had when they were preparing for the first episode. And I guess I'll get into the context before the episodes. But basically, the producer for DC, Gene McCurdy, who is a very famous producer from the late 80s to the 90s, she did Tiny Toons, which I vaguely recall from those days.
I
I mean,
remember those. I grew up on all those, so I remember that.
okay, so somebody here remembers it. I was not born, but I do know the name, so I was like, oh, okay. And she said after Tiny Toons, uh, she and Bruce Timm, who is the lead story guy, they got together and she's like, hey, we have like 5 TV shows that we're working on right now. I want you to bring a draft of Batman to me. Just do something with Batman. Go. And so what he did is that he went through the 1940s Superman comics and was like, these look awesome. These are wholesome. These also deal with adult subjects such as the police force, the army, justice, all sorts of things. And so he was really into that, and he met up with Eric Radomski, who is, I think, the lead artist or somebody, and they finished up a really simple drawing kind of segment. It's like basically what became the intro for the show. And so Batman shows up, a building explodes, he beats up the guys on the rooftop. It's a very classic Batman scene. I think it's in every movie at this point. And they were finishing that up, and Gene McCurdy, about 6 months later, was like, hey, they want something. Show me what you've been working on. So he handed her basically a 2-minute reel, which became the intro, and was like, here you go. And she was like, okay, I'm not even gonna like pitch this. They hired you. Like based off of my input about how much I enjoyed it. So you guys have fun. Do whatever you want. And so they just went away and just got every villain they could think of, created stories on every villain. The original audio from that demo reel that they made is missing. So on this Blu-ray, they have that playing, but they have the main theme song, which I did not know, but apparently Danny Elfman made that theme. And if you know him, he's done Oingo Boingos. He's, I think, the singer for that band before he became a composer. He did basically every Tim Burton movie. He did Nightmare Before Christmas, which is probably my favorite Danny Elfman score. And that little promo reel is so awesome. If you haven't seen it yet, I recommend it. It's basically just setting the tone, the colors, kind of the way that Batman beats up the criminals. He doesn't fucking murder them. He doesn't throw the Batmobile at people. He doesn't throw a car at people. He doesn't take the top of a toilet and beat a guy to death with it. He just punches them in the chest and like handcuffs them. And it's like really simple, really great, fun for the whole family. So that's basically where they were. And any thoughts before we get into episode 1?
Yeah, I want to say that this one is classic. Like I grew up watching this show every day after school. This was like my religion right here. I'd go Batman, uh, X-Men. Those are my two shows back to back, and I just have like a lot of nostalgia about it. And like how you said about Danny Elfman, that soundtrack was what stands out to me in this series because it's done so well. It
Mm-hmm.
keeps you intrigued in it, and on. I mean, this whole nostalgia brought a lot from what you said on the intro. That's what I remember in my brain, just going home and seeing like you'd see it pretty much playing in my living room, little me sitting there just hypnotized by the TV. But
Yeah.
it was my go-to, and I got some facts about the show if you wanna that I could share here.
Lay it on me.
I got I got a Kevin Conroy, rest in peace. I noticed one thing is he switches voices as from Bruce Wayne to Batman, and they said this is the first guy to do that. Like his
Mm.
voice changes from Bruce Wayne, Batman, and you notice it throughout the show. It's more fun when he's Bruce Wayne laid back, and then of course Batman he comes with a rough voice and on vengeance, on the night. You hear it throughout the series, and also Tim Curry was the original Joker in the show. They
Oh,
voiced
wow.
him, and he did 4 episodes, but then he came down with bronchitis, so
Oh.
that's when they hired Mark Hamill as the Joker to voice the Joker. And also Adrian Barbeau's a voice in this for Selena Kyle.
What? Oh, I haven't seen
Yeah,
Catwoman yet in the show.
I haven't seen it either, so I don't know if I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but that opened my eyes. I was like, yeah, Adrian Barbeau, Creep Show,
Oh, that's
The
awesome.
Fog. I was like, I was psyched, but those are a few facts. But Other than that, that's all I gotta say. Is a lot of memories back, and like I gotta say, the sound. I love the score. Like Danny Elfman, man, just hits it, hits it with this one.
Oh yeah, it's so funny the voice thing because that was the first thing I noticed, and that's of course what I paid attention to because I grew up on the Christopher Nolan movies. I was what 10 when no, I was like 6 when Batman Begins came out, and then around 11 I think when Dark Knight came out, and then like 14 when Dark Knight Rises came out. And one of my chief complaints about that trilogy is the voice of Batman versus Bruce Wayne. It is so different and comically different because he's like, "Hey, where's Rachel?" You know, like it's so
Yeah.
comical, and I can't take it seriously. But when he's Bruce Wayne, he's great in it. And another difference from the show that's more just throughout instead of per episode is that there's a lot more detective work in this than in the Christopher Nolan movies, which I am totally fine with. I love the detective work. That's why I loved the Batman from last year, maybe this year. That I loved it. This show is all about that, so of course I love it. But yeah, this show is so much better than I thought it would be. Some episodes
Same
kind
here.
of go down for me where I'm just like, I'm on the seventh episode. Like last night, I watched 7 episodes because what we're going to be doing for this series, this video series, not the TV series, is that we'll one of us will do the first 7, and then the other will do 6 because. And I don't know if they planned this at all, but on the Blu-ray, every disc has exactly 13 episodes. So every episode we're doing for the series is a disc. So we're doing 13 episodes at a time, talking about every single one. It will not be like Zatoichi, where I talk about the entire history of each character and each actor between each movie. Uh, I have a lot of notes on mine, but it's mostly
Mhm.
about tropes within the superhero genre that I was like, haha, I happened to notice it. And so I had to write it down, do some research, kind of see it. And one of them was really funny, but that's episode 2. But I'm trying to think anything else. I kind of wish we had Tim Curry as the voice actor, but Mark Hamill just nailed it. I mean, he
Yeah,
is
he
the
did.
Joker. I mean, that's how I felt watching it. So,
Yeah, I agree. I can't see anybody else besides Hamill, but I would be open to hearing Curry just because they do say episodes exist where he did talk about it. I don't know if they're in the extras or
they
where you
might
hear
be.
him doing it, but it's really interesting. But yeah, Mark Hamill does such a great job as a Joker. I mean, he handles it. You believe he's insane just watching the character like throughout this series. And oh, I also wanted to say I have the movie back here too. I forgot to mention that
Oh, yeah.
standing there on the shelf. You can see it. But the set, I mean, but yeah, what I got pretty much on notes is I went through episode to episode just writing highlights of what I enjoyed, but I don't got too much extra, so I'm glad you're here to handle those tropes and talk about that because I pretty much have zero to nothing on the extras besides what I spoke of at the beginning. But I mean, I'm
Yeah.
here to talk about episodes. I could give some stuff about that.
Yeah, that's
Some,
fine. I'm
yeah.
totally okay with that.
Okay.
Because that was kind of my approach to this was I was like, okay, this is a kid series. This is not Zatuichi where I am looking at the state of Japanese cinema from the 60s into the 80s. Like I don't want to do that deep of a dive. I just want to like do some basic stuff, get some voice actors, figure out, where they were in their career, and if I notice anything, like I noticed a few kind of social issues that the show was kind of tackling in a few episodes, and I wrote those down, kind of gave my thoughts. But for the most part, it is kind of like, oh, I loved seeing this character's introduction. I loved seeing how they handled this compared to the movies and such as that. So yeah, are we ready for the next or for the first episode?
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
So my thinking is that I will kind of say all my notes and my reaction, and then hand it off to you, and then we'll go to the next episode. So this is
Okay.
literally episode by episode, kind of like
Yeah.
Zatoichi, but Zatoichi had a whole lot more rambling. I
Yeah.
still need to go back and re-edit
For
those.
the good or for the bad, it had rambling.
Yeah, the first 3 episodes are great. I re-listened to
Yeah.
them a couple months ago, and I was like, okay, like we didn't ramble at all during those. And then I see the run times of the others in like 4 hours, and I'm just like, oh god, I know we weren't talking about Zatoichi the whole time.
We went to some other topics. I don't. And then the alcohol kicked in, so we were
Oh
like
god.
going off on random stuff. So
It was real bad. So
yeah.
we're going to be a little better about that on this series. But
Uh-huh.
so the first episode is called "On Leather Wings," which I think is a great title. Episode 1 out of 13. I was kind of shocked at the beginning of it because our first kind of neutralization of a bad guy beating up a good guy or the night watchman, the guy just pushes him into water, and I was like, oh, this is like so nice to watch. Like nobody's getting the arm chopped off by Batman like in the fucking most recent ones, not counting Robert Pattinson. But I was like, wow, like the enemies are like still careful with the good guys to not like slaughtering people. And I really enjoyed the artwork. I don't know if they did some sort of restoration to like really make the colors pop, because the only special feature that was on this disc was the kind of promo reel that they made before the show started airing. And so I would love to hear more about the restoration if they have that on this release, to see like, oh, did they redraw, like not redraw but recolor it a little bit to make it more vibrant, because that was something I kind of enjoyed about although it's a terrible cut of the movie, but the Joss Whedon cut of the movie of Justice League, the colors were pretty good. I enjoyed that part, but I would love to just know more about that from this release. I love the first reveal of Unmasked Batman because he's like walking up to a zoo, and there's a big sign that says Bat Gallery or whatever, or the audio announcer is like, coming up on your tour is the Bat Gallery, and you see Bruce Wayne walking in. You don't technically know he's Bruce Wayne yet, but the moment that the audio did that, I was like, oh, that's Bruce Wayne. like this is so spelled out. Like this is this guy, this is this guy, and I love it. I'm totally fine with that because I never grew up on this. I don't know who these people. Well, I know who the characters are. I don't know what they look like on the show. And then there's these characters of Mrs. Francine and Kirk Langstrom, who are husband and wife. And I was like, who are they? I've never heard of them. And ends up that Kirk Langstrom is Man-Bat. So in the first episode, we have a literal opposite of Batman, Man-Bat. And we have Albert in this episode, who's doing his normal butler stuff, talking to Batman, and he asks Batman, because Batman is like, where's the Man-Bat or whatever, like somebody got hit with bats or whatever, and somebody is like, oh, I recorded it, or the Night Watch god is like, oh, I recorded something on my walkie-talkie, and here is the audio, and he's like slipped it under the desk. Batman found it later, and Batman is listening to it on his headphones, and Albert is like, why are you listening to rock and roll? And it just made me laugh. It was just like something goofy. I was like, okay, like, why not?
That's what I like. You get like you get the cheesy one-liners in this too, like
Yeah.
that are hilarious.
It totally threw me off guard because I'm so used to like Ben Affleck, who is like pretty dry and, you know, whatever. And you have Robert Pattinson, who's a goth boy, who I love. That's my favorite Batman so far. And you have Christian Bale, who is like, ugh, it sounds like the devil. And then this one, he's like, stop listening to rock and roll. And it's like, yeah, it's like, I love that. But,
I didn't expect that kind of humor.
yeah, like, after my entire life, basically, watching these newer Batman movies as they come out, it's like, gosh, this is so refreshing to see like a wholesome superhero show. This is why it's really hard to be excited for a Superman movie for me, because it's like, oh, directed by Zack Snyder. Okay, it's going to be really dour and it's going to be dealing with real world issues, which these shows do, but they have the optimistic side, and that's what is missing from the newer movies. Not to get on a whole rant about that, but
They don't force it on you pretty much like how they
yeah,
do now. They force it on you. Like
yeah,
this is the way it should go. That's the way, it's like
yeah. Like this animated series is so refreshing, and it's 30 years old. I think exactly 30 years old now, and it was just so surprising. And I was shocked. I did not realize that Kirk was the Man Bat. I had no idea about that. I didn't even know Man Bat was even a creature in the DC pantheon. But I was like, oh, okay, like first episode, sure. Just switch Bat and Man, and you have the villain. Like, okay, cool. And I was shocked by how fast the episode ended, because I knew it's 20 minutes. Obviously, it is. It's a Saturday morning cartoon show. Kids aren't watching an hour long Sopranos type of TV episode. It was like snapping, from
straight to
plot
the
point.
point.
Yeah, it's really to the point, and I love it. Um, One thing that I was really enjoying was that each episode was very isolated in its story. I really liked how they were totally separate. We do have a two-parter in this section on this disc called Two-Face, which I'll let you talk about later. But everything's so isolated. I mean, there's a few things that run through, like the last, I think, 4 episodes had to do with the two rich men and the children and the rivalry and also the relationship as they grew up. Like, it was a great little arc, but it wasn't like the focus of these episodes, except for the second to last one, which again I'll let you talk about. But one thing I noticed, which I texted you about, is that I was looking at the list of voice actors at the end of every episode, because I was like, who voice acted these people? I may know some. And Man Bat was voiced by Mark Singer, star of
No way.
Beastmaster.
Oh wow.
Beastmaster was Man Bat. It was awesome.
I did not know that.
I had no idea. I was like, oh, it sounds familiar, whatever. And then the credits go really fast, by the way, so I kept having to get my remote and pause it really quickly. And I saw that. I was like, Mark Singer, oh my god. I was like, is that Beastmaster? Beastmaster's Man Bat? Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, it is. I did not know that. You got me there.
Yeah, I was
Off
like, it's
guard on
not
that
Mark
one.
Hamill. I was like, I promise it's not Mark Hamill. Everyone knows Mark Hamill is in this.
Yeah,
Like, I'm not
that's
gonna
the most
be.
known besides
Yeah,
Kevin Conroy.
yeah. And I was shocked. Like, in the first episode of the series, Beastmaster is voicing. So
Is Man
that's
Bat.
yeah,
Wow,
that's
it sounds cool together.
yeah,
Beastmaster,
Beastmaster
Man
Man
Bat.
Bat. Well, because it's MBBM. That's why. Man
Okay,
Bat Beastmaster.
interesting.
It's symmetrical. But yeah, so once I discovered that Beastmaster was a voice on the show, I was like, okay, I need to check every single credits from here on out. And there's a few other good ones that I spotted, which I wrote. Oh yeah, there's a great one in episode 3. But anything else for episode 1? I mean, it's really straightforward. I don't really look at the plot. It's really just the villain.
I
Like,
I just think it's the perfect introduction to the series because you have like a bat also, but a like villain, and it goes together, and it's kind of like a copycat because Batman's getting blamed for everything, and
yeah.
it's not him. That's what I really liked, and it's a bat that flies at night, so they're all pointing their fingers like it's the Batman. He's turned evil or whatever, and it's cool. And then I like the we get the Batmobile view in this episode where it shows up, and it's nostalgia for me because I had the toy as a kid. I collected all these toys. It just
Hmm.
it hits a spot for me in memory lane there, and no, I just like the whole. I think it's just the perfect introduction to to start the series. You don't get a big villain yet. You get someone that's fresh, or
Yeah.
that's the way you should start it. you don't go out
focusing
right
on
away.
Batman.
Yeah. And like you said, I didn't expect the cheesy humor. How you said the rock and roll line, I had that, and it's just it's funny. It's like makes you laugh. Like, well, they do have a sense of humor, even though they're fighting crime all day or whatever. Yeah,
And it's like
but
warm-hearted humor too. It's not like a, your mom, like
yeah,
it's like
cringy.
it's like old people like, oh, you're listening to rock and roll. Like, this show is for kids. Those kids would probably be like, yeah, my dad says that.
Yeah, exactly.
Albert saying that to Batman. Me and Batman relate.
Busted out with a dad joke right away.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say. I mean, you handled it pretty good there. Just had I like the copycat villain. I just like it. I love it. I like
Yeah.
it's a bat too.
It's a good contrast too. A good bat and a bad bat. Like,
Yeah, way to start it.
yep.
I mean,
But so the next episode I was shocked about because it's a Christmas episode. Episode 2 of this series is called Christmas with Joker. And immediately I was like, okay, great. Here we come. Here we go. Here comes Mark Hamill. I can't wait. And obviously everyone knows Mark Hamill voiced him. We don't need to hover on that. Like,
Luke,
he's
I'm your
great.
father.
Yeah. He was also in Children of the Damned or Village of the Damned, whatever that awesome John Carpenter movie is. And then he's in Body Bags. I remember this time.
Body bags, yeah.
He's great in that one. Mark Hamill should have had a more productive on-screen acting career, I think. He did a lot of voice work, I think, after the John Carpenter movies of the late 80s. But Joker, right off the bat, starts singing Jingle Bells. And I was immediately thinking, is this where the Jingle Bells alternate version came from? That everybody sings nowadays? Because I grew up hearing this, but I never watched the show, and a bunch of kids my age sang it. The Batman smells, Robin laid an egg, that one.
That's
Like,
another dad joke that you heard from your dad or your uncle. I
yeah.
mean, during the holidays.
Did that, like, was that song around before this show? Like, I have no idea.
I would say yeah, because I heard like my older family members say this since I was a kid, and
Oh,
unless they heard it from this show, I am not. I'd have to ask them. But I remember my uncles singing it during Christmas. My mom singing the song, so I know it's been around. Well, it's been in their mind for a while. So
I would love to hear, like, confirmation on that. Like, how far back that song goes. Because that was, like, immediately what I was thinking of. Because it starts off with him singing that song. And, snow is falling. The Santa's walking around. Kids walking around doing the, taking pictures with Santa and all that. And I was like, is this new? Like, is this, like, the first time the song has ever been sung? But, I guess you need to research that. As
yeah, I'm
someone
gonna have to
who,
research it
yeah,
because
you can probably just directly ask people who were around that time.
did you get it from that show or was it somewhere else? I'm gonna go
I,
question them. I'm gonna tell
yeah,
people. I'm saying I'll tell people, but
yeah, because I
especially
heard
my
it
old.
like
Well,
just
go
in
ahead.
elementary school, and I was like, huh, okay, cool, whatever. I was like, that's kind of mean on Batman. Batman's pretty cool. And
Yeah,
then it was like it just popped up in this episode, but I'm lingering way too long on this. But
yeah,
I'm just really like, I need to know the answer. This is
same
the
here.
first episode that Robin is in. Again, Robin lays an egg. He didn't really do too much on this episode and didn't show up again in any other episodes this disc that I saw. Maybe I missed it, but I
No,
didn't see
I
him.
didn't. This is the only one I saw Robin into that I've seen so far.
Because Joker was in like 5 of these episodes. He's in a lot of these. I guess because
Yeah.
he's such a great villain. But there's a part where, because Joker like steals Christmas. I don't know what the plot is. Again, I didn't pay attention to the plots in these. I just noted which villain of the week each episode was, so I could remember. But I think Joker is like threatening to bomb Gotham. I mean, he always does. And he's like, okay, Batman, you got to stop me by midnight or something. And so they have to like climb a big mountain, and they have to find where he is. And he ends up being on this Arkham, I think they call it, or Arkham Mountain. But Joker is
And
like
then
on.
he has kidnapped. He has like the commissioner kidnapped, and
Oh yeah.
like three of the. I think Bullock, the detective, he has all three of. This is my family. I guess
Yeah.
because he never had a family. He's similar to Batman. They're both without families.
Yeah, and that's a
And
trope I didn't even think about, is the found family thing, because
mhm.
that's an entire trope in just novels and stories and stuff. Is the found family. It's like, okay, Batman, of course, didn't grow up with family, so he had to find his own family through Albert, or Alfred. I mean, Robin, Catwoman, eventually, all these different people, and there's a great scene where Joker is on the TV show, and he has cardboard cutouts of everybody, and he's like talking to them and having fun and singing to them, and it was just like such a feel good like episode, like
Yeah, and then
where
we're close to the holiday, so
yeah,
it hit the spot.
it got me in the Christmas mood.
It
Like
did. Same here.
nothing puts me in the Christmas mood anymore, and that one did. I was like, oh wow, like maybe I'm excited for the like Christmas for once. And there's a great train sequence where a train is going and it's exploding, and Batman is like running on it, and he's like trying to stop it. Like, it's really high octane. Like, I really enjoyed it. And there was a really funny sequence that made me laugh because we're watching this on Blu-ray. Joker turns to the camera and is like, all right, folks, here's a message from our sponsors. And it just cuts to black, and it goes right back to the show. It just made me laugh because we're watching on Blue. Like, in my head, I was like, okay, here's the Nickelodeon ad. Here's, like, in my head, I
It
was
goes
trying to
back.
imagine what commercials would be playing. And I was like, okay, we're back to the movie or the show. But
And they're like constantly talking about A Wonderful Life, the film,
yeah,
throughout the
there's a
episode.
lot of film references, and I have a very
Yeah.
particular one later that I'll talk about. But this one was definitely focused on It's a Wonderful Life, which is all
Yeah.
about, what would happen to the city or town if this one person did not exist. And that's kind of what the kind of theme of
Yeah.
that episode is. It's like, oh, what if Batman wasn't here? Oh, it would be awful.
Being
We're so happy you're
turmoil.
here, Batman.
The hero's here to save the day or the night, shall I say?
Yeah. But overall, I really enjoyed this
Yeah.
episode, even more than the first one.
Me too. I think this is one of my favorites, and I, this is where you get the first view of Arkham Asylum too. When Joker's
Oh yeah,
escaping, you get the view of in people that are where he's locked up at, and straight jacket, all that, which I thought was real impressive. But
yeah,
I just want to say another cheesy one-liner in this episode is where they're fighting villains, and Batman's actually hitting villains with a bat, and Robin's like, "They don't call you Batman for no reason." I don't know. I just started
I must have
laughing
missed
at
that.
that part,
I totally forgot about that.
and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Because I
And he's
remember,
actually hitting villains with a bat. And
yeah,
it's just hilarious. With actual baseball bat.
because I remember him beating people up, but I didn't remember that line.
Yeah, he's like hitting him. Robin's like, "They don't call you Batman for no reason." He's just laughing while Batman's hitting some guys with a bat.
And shockingly, there's no
I'm like,
blood.
"Oh
Like,
no, it's
that's a nice
real
thing too.
mellow, tame." Yeah, it is. Like even on that train incident where you were saying it, where he saves the day. Like we actually thought people got blown up in that scene, like fell off the rail. But then you see that he saved the part with the people and let the
Hmm.
empty part just crash down off the rail. So you don't get kills. Still, there's no kills in this. It's real tame,
Which I'm
which is good.
fine with.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's what
I'm
Batman's about.
totally fine with
Yeah,
that. Unlike the new movies where he massacres hundreds of people.
Yeah, more dark, way more dark in the films.
Oh yeah, they need to stop it. I want spandex. But
They're probably just saying it's we got to go with them horror films compete or something. I don't know what it is.
yeah, I don't know what the thinking is. I'm not gonna try. But is there
Yeah.
anything else on this episode you want to talk about?
I think we covered everything there that I had to talk about there. I don't have much more.
Okay. Well, episode 3 is the pretty awesome one. I said here, well, the episode is called Nothing to Fear. So, of course, there's something to fear. And the first thing I wrote was University is in danger. Because right off the bat, we get an intro scene at the college, and everybody is like at a conference or something, and there's a bomb. I mean, it's a very classic setup to anything Batman. And Scarecrow, my personal favorite villain because he's hallucinogenic and makes you dream your worst nightmares. He shows up and he sprays a guard with the weird gas. And Batman gets sprayed at one point with it, and his worst fear, because that's what the gas makes you think of. Batman's worst fear is being disgraced by his father or disowned by his father, which I thought was really sad. Made
Yeah.
the show much sadder than I thought it would be.
And then he has like that guy, that scientist, or I don't know, professor at the college that tells him your dad, you can't even stand in your dad's shoes. He's like, you're an
Yeah.
embarrassment to the Wayne. So it stays in his head. Like after that.
Oh yeah, like that's he obviously never healed from his parents' death, which I don't think anybody would, especially
No.
in that story where they're coming out of the movie theater, gets shot, which we haven't gotten really any background yet. We don't even know if his parents are still alive. We just know his dad would have been ashamed, which I think gives a connotation that he's dead, but there's no confirmation really about his mom yet, at least.
There's just visuals. He pictures his parents. That's all you get.
Yeah, like black and white pictures, like
Yeah.
when he was a kid, I think. But
Yeah.
I loved Scarecrow's background story of him studying phobias at the college and their effects if pushed far. And there's that not hilarious, but it was hilarious to me as a cartoon how he has like that long metal hallway with like it reminded me of Old Boy, honestly. Was just this long hallway with all these doors and little slots on the bottom, where he's like peeping through and watching all his victims lose their mind. It's honestly just like Old Boy. Like I never
Yeah.
thought of that, but
I didn't think of that either until you brought it up.
that that's hilarious. I want to see Batman and Old Boy. Oh,
There you go.
Batman and Old Boy. That's a great superhero duo.
The
Come
hall
on,
scene, they're
old
just
boy.
knocking people with weapons, knocking people out through a hallway.
Yeah, a one shot of Batman just
Yeah.
punching
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, whatever his name is like with his what did he have in that scene that everybody loves? It's like a tire iron or something.
I'm not sure.
I think it is a tire iron.
I thought it was a wrench. I'm probably off though.
It
I don't know
might
if you
be
get
a
to the wrench.
wrench. It's like some
Yeah.
metal tool. But
I
okay,
don't know.
that was a hilarious visual. I never even connected. But I'm happy I wrote it down because I wouldn't have made that connection. But he has a hilarious shot where he's just like looking through each peephole and he's like, oh, this person's dreaming of spiders. Okay. Goes to the next door. Oh, this guy hates fires and he's getting burned alive. Okay. And he's like, it's like this really diabolical evil guy, which I think,
Successful. He was
yeah,
checking lists.
yeah. He's like, oh, my experiments are going well. But
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this episode, and this is another guest cameo. The guy who voiced Dr. Long, he I think is the older one. He's voiced by Kevin McCarthy, who, if you don't know him, he was in my favorite Weird Al Yankovic movie, UHF. He's also in a few other movies, but he's
I still
great.
gotta watch that.
He's a villain in that. He's like a millionaire television owner, and he's the direct competition with Weird Al Yankovic, and he's like representing the the normal soap operas and just wealthy TV show, and then there's Weird Al Yankovic, who is like, here's some toads, and just like lets people do whatever the fuck they want. It's a really funny movie. I highly recommend it. But Kevin McCarthy
Gotta
is
check
in
that one out for
it.
sure.
Anything else on episode 3?
Uh, I like like you said, the character of Scarecrow. I like how it's kind of a revenge story for him, as he's trying to get back at the university where he was fired up from. He was like a professor there, and I mean, he got thrown out, of course, for doing all those sick testings or whatever he's doing. But it's I also like the part where Batman puts the fear in him, and it's
Oh
bats.
yeah,
Of
yeah.
course, he's seen bats everywhere he's running. I was like,
And,
that's pretty cool.
and Batman is like 20 feet tall. He's like huge.
Yeah, he's standing there with his teeth just sticking out, and you're like, what kind of I can't even speak. Illusions is he seeing here? I was like, that's one hell of a drug, pretty much. But
I want
yeah,
what he's having.
exactly. But
no, I don't.
yeah, it's an all around great episode, man.
Oh yeah,
Scarecrow is one of those top villains, and I like his, like you said, his form of weaponry. It's chemicals and hallucinations and tripped out. Pretty much, that's all I got to say on that.
yeah. And one thing
Yeah.
I thought about just now, because I was just thinking about the Spider-Man movies, the amazing Spider-Man movies. They're not amazing Spider-Man movies, but that's what they're called. The title is, and it reminds me of Electro's background. How he was a university scientist, was experimenting with something. It goes wrong, and he becomes kind of caught up in it and tries to enact revenge on them. Although with Electro, I think it's just the science company, Oscorp, I guess. I think. I can't
Yeah.
remember, but it's
Was he,
pretty similar.
is he the one played by Jamie Foxx?
Yeah.
And that.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I got you. I still got to learn the Spider-Man characters. I don't know all of them. Like Batman was my go-to, so I know a lot. But the other ones, I'm not.
Yeah, I only know the movies.
Not too familiar with.
Maybe the video games. Which, by the way, all I wanted to do while watching this show was play Arkham Asylum. Have you ever played that?
I did when I was younger. Yeah, I had a couple games of it.
I had it back when it first came out on Xbox 360, and I loved it. And I looked it up, and there is a current gen remaster on PS4 and Xbox One. So I'm
did you know Kevin Conroy voiced him too?
Really?
Yeah, he voiced him too in those games.
Oh my god. Okay, so I gotta replay
Yeah.
it. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Joker is great in that game. That's all this show made me want to do was play that game because I 100%ed it. Like I loved Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, those are good games. I used to have a few of them. A couple, I think. The first two, for sure.
I didn't really like any after Arkham Asylum because Arkham Asylum was such a like tight setting. Like I didn't like the city because I just got overwhelmed instantly. Because you go out there and it's like you can go here, here, here. It's like all over the map. It's like all these different missions. I'm like, nope, and I just didn't try it. I think I played like an hour, and I was like, yeah, that's too much.
Yeah.
Back to Arkham Asylum, where everything is hallways and it's easy.
Not all over the damn place.
Oh yeah. But the next episode is called The Last Laugh. It's episode 4. I wrote like nothing down on this. I said I really enjoyed this one. Not much to really discuss. Great ending at the trash burning plant though. That's really all I wrote down.
I like this episode because it takes place on April Fool's Day.
Oh yeah,
that was pretty interesting.
I did not like the joke that Batman put on Alfred. He's like, "You're fired and you're not getting retired."
Yeah.
And Alfred is like, "What?" He's like, "April Fools."
Yeah.
I was like, "That's so pretty mean." Harsh.
It's pretty harsh.
I'm firing you and taking away your retirement benefits. It's like, God. He's worked his
What does he
entire
get?
life for the Wayne family.
Because he does to Bruce Wayne on the bathtub, right? He tells him your bath's ready, sir, and he goes, "There's no
And
water in
it's
it."
just like dripping.
Yeah, and he's like, "What
He's
is
like,
this, Alfred?"
Alfred.
And he's like, "April Fool, sir," or Mass, what he calls him.
Yeah.
And he's like, "I'm gonna go take a shower." Like Bruce Wayne has no sense of humor. He's just
Yeah.
like, "I'm gonna go take a shower then."
Well, Alfred says that. He's like, oh, you're unhumorous. And in my head,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, oh, in the entire time in the shower, he's probably like, oh, what can I do?
He's thinking of what he I could get him back.
Literal shower thoughts. Ready for the
um,
big one?
yeah.
Do you have
Uh,
any more on this one?
I just got no, not much. I like the gas, the laughing gas that Joker releases through the city,
Mm-hmm.
where he's making everyone just laugh crazy. There's even some running in circles, holding hands, and it's
Yeah.
hilarious. Where he even puts on Alfred, where Alfred's demolishing the mansion.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the one where he does it or no?
I
Where
think so,
Alfred
yeah.
and he's laughing all crazy and breaking his. He's all hurt because he broke his vase. That's pretty expensive.
Oh, yeah.
And it's creative. Every time Joker steps in, you're gonna get that bonkers, crazy, kind of like carnival humor in a way, if you could put it like that. But
Mm-hmm. He's very showman.
I also want to go back to the soundtrack because this has a great score. It has like a carnival circus noise, and I'm sure it's Danny Elfman who did this, but man,
Yeah,
it
he did the whole
stands
show,
out.
I think. I looked
Yeah,
it up.
yeah, I'm pretty much taken away by this score. This might be my favorite score out of every Batman, anything Batman I've seen.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I mean, it's the best. And I
the
think Danny
music,
Elfman
music,
just did the theme. I just remembered it was a woman who
mm,
did the score. So
it's
whoever she is.
fantastic. Man, it really draws you in with the music through every episode. There's good music. I haven't had a complaint. Even some goes country and it still sounds pretty good on some. I
Hmm.
won't give it away, but but yeah, this was a fun one. Anything with a Joker's fun to me, so I
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
That's basically how I felt when I did the notes for that episode. I was like, yeah, I had like 2 sentences maybe. And I was like, it's still good. I mean, there's nothing else to say. I mean,
Yeah, I have a couple episodes. There's like two sentences too. I'm like, not much to say. Straightforward.
well, this one, episode 5, Pretty Poison is the name of it. I have a lot of notes on this one.
But yeah, I
So
only have a few, so that's good.
strap in on this. This is one of those Zatoichi notes
Uh-oh.
where I have paragraphs.
You mean business in this one, huh?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. My cinema brain was turning this entire time. So this is our introduction to Harvey Dent, who is not yet Two-Face. Two-Face is much later, which I did not think would happen. I thought this was going to be his episode because it's Poison Ivy also. So I thought she was
Yeah,
going to like fuck him up somehow
yeah,
on his face, but not at all. He's just the district attorney in this episode. But
yeah,
there's something hilarious about the imagery on this, on the intro, because we have them planting a tree like 5 or 10 years before the current timeline, and they're like, "Yeah, this tree is gonna grow big and tall, and it's gonna inspire everybody, because we're like rebuilding a forest here." And like the next shot is them constructing this very industrial cement military industrial complex like building. And they like bulldoze the tree and move it elsewhere, and they have this giant prison basically right beside the river, and all I could think to myself was, oh my god, the pollution. Like, because there's a whole lot of issues with prisons, private prisons actually, that are buying like huge plots of land and they don't have any regulations on the pollution and the polluting. And so
Wow.
that image just made me laugh because I was like, is that like some subliminal like messaging? Like, hey, like prisons are evil. Don't make them.
Yeah.
Like, because all I could think was, man, there's so much pollution coming from that prison, like straight into the water source where I think Gotham drinks the water from in the well. Like, it's like a major water source for Gotham, and they're just building this multi-acre concrete, just disgusting building. So it made me laugh when I saw that, and that was like the first shot in the
Yeah.
movie. But
Yeah.
what was that?
That's interesting. Cause I was saying like on think I don't know which Batman movie it is. Is it Batman Begins where they pollute the water through Gotham?
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, they put like pollution through it. That just made me like think of that. I don't know why, but
Oh, I forgot about the Batman Begins. I haven't seen it since I think theaters.
yeah,
I was like
it's
six.
been a while too. But that reminded me a lot of what you're saying, like how all Gotham drinks through that water. And a villain wants to really take someone out. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, and they don't even
Yeah,
touch on it on the show. They're just like, oh
yeah.
yeah, prison's right beside the water. No issues here. And I'm like, there's a
No,
lot of issues going on.
yeah.
But there's a, let me find where. Oh yeah, and then we get a title card saying like, oh, 5 years later. And this is where the big research comes in. Because we get what's her face? Poison Ivy. We finally get
Poison
her,
Ivy.
and she and Batman are in like a greenhouse, and a giant plant comes out, and there's spikes all over it, and it's a very distinct shape. Do you know of the trope called vagina deotada or
I
dentata?
don't.
So basically, it's a folk myth that has been around for thousands of years, basically. Which is all about the toothed vagina, which has been seen in artwork and paintings and everything in many cultures, from the Maori, which are like I think the New Zealand tribes. You see them in Native American artwork. You see it in European artwork. Like, it's everywhere. And this is a kind of trope in the body horror genre. And you see this a lot. And I wrote down some examples. You have the Sarlacc pit from Star Wars. That's not body horror, but it's the same thing, tooth vagina imagery. Davy Jones' Kraken from Pirates of the Caribbean, when it opens up and you see all the flesh, the pink flesh with the teeth on them. It's very
Mhm.
obvious. Ever since I've learned of this trope, I see it everywhere. The toothed.
Have you seen that film called Teeth?
I haven't, but that was one of the movies that I think
That's
everyone.
that's a vagina with teeth in that film. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, like
She
that.
lowers the Mel into it, and pretty much Lorena Bobbitt's him.
Yeah. And this entire kind of trope and cultural image plays into the scare 'em straight cautionary tale, which warns of the dangers of sex with strange women. And so try to go for the straight-laced woman is what these people are saying to do. And so this kind of imagery of the tooth vagina is like, oh, be with someone who is like, you know, normal looking, you know? And so this is a trope that is like so fascinating to me because it's everywhere. If you know of it, you will see it from now on, like in everything you watch. And I never even realized that
Wow.
the Sarlacc pit was one. I noticed the Davy Jones Kraken and Pirates of the Caribbean because that was like, I saw that in theaters. I watched as this pink fleshed vagina on the theater screen opened and there were teeth in it. Like, I noticed right away
Wow.
in the theater when I saw that in theaters. It was pretty harrowing for me as a 9-year-old boy whenever that movie came out.
I just thought of Little Shop of Horrors with
Yep,
Rick Moranis. That's what I thought when I saw that. But
that's another vagina dentata, which is what the
yeah,
name of the thing is. But in the Batman TV show, it's a giant Venus flytrap, and it opens up and it's like chomping, and it's literally in the shape of a vagina. Like, you cannot
oh
ignore
wow,
it. The moment it showed up on the TV, I paused it, and I was like, that is a vagina. Like, I was like, there's
there's
no
no denying
way.
it.
I was like, there's no way. Like, it was darker colored on the outside of the Venus flytrap and pink colored on the
Yeah,
inside. And there were vines. The vines looked like hair, okay? It was
wow.
so obvious. And I don't know if you noticed it, but like, I'm not crazy, right?
No, I didn't think that, but now that you mentioned it, it is the shape. It's even sideways. Why is it sideways?
Yeah,
Usually
like
it'll be right side up or whatever.
the
But
Venus flytrap is usually like this.
yeah,
It's
this one's
horizontal.
like
This
this
one is
one's
like vertical.
yeah,
Like, it is insane. And it
yeah,
took me down a deep rabbit hole about this trope. And
interesting.
let me see. It also goes on the castration anxiety, which is something that has been around literally forever since humankind has existed in all its 6 different species. That Homo sapiens happened to be the one to survive through survival of the fittest. But it's also made a hallmark on psychoanalytic painters and writers, because there's a whole lot of paintings too that show this phenomenon of the hooked vagina. And on and I actually looked up this trope on, I don't know, movietropes.com, whatever it's called, which has been around forever and has become an entire machine for screenwriters to like really weigh whether they should use a specific writing device or not. They talk about how if you believe in deep inner subtext, you're likely to see this image in any creature that's moist, has teeth, devours its victims, often whole and usually alive. So I think Poltergeist popped up in my head for some reason, but that doesn't count. Maybe the tree, but I don't know. Trying to think any other examples, because it lists a few examples of them. And they jokingly said, sometimes there seems to be something to that about the image of the hooked vagina and all these TV shows. But usually a cigar is just a cigar, so to speak. And in my head, I'm like, oh, penis. A cigar. I was immature reading it. But
Well, you got on Creep Show too. There's a Venus flytrap
yeah.
on one of
And
the segments, and then
yeah,
Venus, penis.
yeah, there's a lot
I don't
of
know.
penis imagery.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, the predator. The predator's mouth. That's a
yeah,
vagina dentata.
yeah,
Because when it opens up, it's all pink and fleshy and it has the teeth inside.
yeah. True.
Not to talk about hooked vaginas, but.
Yeah. So that so you mentioned it. Hey, they come in all shapes and sizes, man. Who
Oh,
knows?
yeah.
Just kidding.
And what blew me away is that I was really curious on this trope, and I know it's a thing. I mean, I've learned about it in my film classes. And I remember, like, I looked it up last night when I was watching the episode, and I clicked on the link, and guess what the first image was? The TV show.
The,
The exact
the TV show. Oh
Venus
wow,
flytrap that I saw that put me on this entire journey. I was
wow.
like, I'm not crazy. I'm not the first one, because
You're
this
not
is some
crazy. There's
like
meaning to it.
I saw it and I was like, oh, like that's funny. Like, I'm gonna go down this hole. Like, I want to research it. And I found like the page, and immediately it was like, bam, Batman animated series episode episode 5 or whatever. And I was like, shit. So I was completely hyper focused on that, and I did not even look at the story. Nothing. I was just looking up hooked vaginas for the rest of the episode.
It's Poison Ivy's hooked vagina, man.
Yeah, and her entire
She does
character
hook
is
him
about
in.
seductress, is being a seductress. So
Yeah, yeah, she does do that. She reels him in and takes him out, pretty much.
but
This is
anything
an
else on that
interesting one,
episode?
man. Uh, no, well, I just wanted to speak on Bullock. I know he's not a main character in this episode,
Yeah.
but you, you go back. I don't know if you've seen the show Gotham, one that used to be on Fox. Well, I watched that one where Batman's a kid, and you got Bullock in there, and he's like this likable character. He's like funny, you know. And this one, he's not. He's just a complete jerk. He doesn't like Batman, which is more true because I mean, what cop's gonna like a vigilante on the streets
Mm-hmm.
taking law into his own hands? I mean, there's not gonna be much, but he constantly calls Batman a vigilante through all this, and he's probably involved. Arrest him too, you know. But Gordon comes to his defense, of course, and it's just interesting to see Bullock change. I thought that was a big. I haven't read the comics, so I don't know him on there, but I'm just going off shows I've seen where he's actually not a likable character in this series at all. He's jealous. He he's not a good cop. He's done stuff in his background. He's just out to assassinate Batman's character, which makes more sense. A cop's gonna want to do that than be like, okay, pal, Batman, you could go around, take law in your own hands or whatever. Cop's gonna be like, hell no, arrest him. You know, it's against the law highly.
I love that Batman keeps disappearing because Gordon distracts Bullock. That every
Yeah,
time he did that, it just made me laugh. And there was
he's gone.
there was one point I wanted to mention about Mark Hamill because have you seen Green Arrow or Arrow? I guess is the show.
No, I haven't. I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's really well. Season 1 is really good. I haven't seen anything out. Well, maybe I've seen up to season 2. I don't know. But Mark Hamill is in that. And oh my god, he is basically the Joker in that. And I didn't even notice because I'd never seen anime series, of course, but I knew that he was the Batman because that's all anyone talks about. Now, I remember watching the show and I was like, oh, Mark Hamill, he's a pretty good guy. And there's a point in the episode, it's like one episode he's in for like a Halloween episode, I think, where he is jailed and he's like sitting on an interrogation chair looking down. And he's like talking to himself in the Joker voice. And then Green Arrow is like, I'm Green Arrow. What are you doing? And he looks up and he looks exactly like the Joker. And he says something. And he's like, I am your father. And so there was like all these layers of like all these different roles that Mark Hamill has played. Because he said, I am your father. I mean, Darth Vader.
Your father.
He's
Darth
acting
Vader.
like the Joker. He's voiced the Joker. I meant to talk about that earlier with Mark Hamill, but I just remembered and it made me laugh because now I'm finally seeing that.
And he does such a good job. He makes you believe he's insane. Like,
because
you get that feel
show
like
was like 2010s. I mean, it was recent. I mean, right before the Disney merger when they bought.
He probably went back into role. Probably went back into role for that scene. Like,
it was really fun, and I'd never even seen this show.
Interesting.
So
I still got it.
Yeah, I recommend season 1 of Green Arrow, and also the Flash. Flash was good because they cross over a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I gotta see some of those. I haven't seen a lot of those.
Okay.
I've heard the Punisher's one to watch.
Oh yeah, that's great. They're bringing back Daredevil. Daredevil's great.
Daredevil's the one I was gonna mention next.
I haven't seen season 3 yet. I should one day because they're finally bringing it back. They Netflix canceled it, and then Disney bought them out, and it's been gone for about 5 years now. No, John Bernthal plays the Punisher in that series, and he is, oh my god, like I loved the Flash or Daredevil season 1. I mean, it's all-star new cast, but they're all really fucking good. And then John Bernthal is like, I'm the Punisher, and like the show becomes about him for like the entire season instead of Daredevil. Daredevil
Yeah,
is like just hanging out. It's like it is so
it's
good.
not
I
focused,
highly, yeah, it is
not
so good,
focused on him.
and it's also very, very violent.
Burnhall's perfect for the Punisher. I think he just fits it.
Oh yeah, like he is
Yeah.
so violent in that show. Like people are blown apart by like grenade launchers by John
Wow.
Bernthal, and John Bernthal is just like so cold and disconnected because Hell's Kitchen people killed his wife and daughter, I think, and it's like really good. He's so good. There's an episode where it's just him and Daredevil sitting in a graveyard, and the entire episode is like 40 minutes of them just talking. It's like
Wow.
because they have a huge shootout, I think, in the episode before it, and they're both like really wounded, and they're waiting for help for, I guess, whoever, Froggy, I think his assistant name is. I don't know, Daredevil's assistant, and he is like sitting there with John Bernthal, and John Bernthal can't walk. Daredevil can walk, but he's blind, so they're kind of just stuck in this graveyard, and they're like, let's just talk. And it's like 40 minutes of them just talking. It's like really fucking interesting. So that's kind of my mini
cool.
review of Daredevil. I love it.
That sounds awesome. Yeah.
Season 3 I still haven't seen because they canceled it, and I said fuck them, and I never watched it. And now they're bringing it back, so I might as well. Anything else on episode 5?
That's
AKA
all I got.
Hooked Vaginas.
I just have that picture in my head now.
You're welcome. Because that's all I was thinking the entire episode.
It's gonna be like hooked vagina. My dream of it tonight. It has a piercing or something. Just kidding.
So the next episode is called The Underdwellers. It is episode 6. My first comment that I wrote is, what the hell is this child slave camp? This episode, I think, is my least favorite. It just felt sleazy. It didn't feel like the right tone. And Batman is barely in it. I wasn't sure who the villain was for a while, and I said maybe it's the crocodile guy, like from Arkham Asylum, where it's crocodile.
That's what I thought too.
That's who I thought it was, and it's not. It's a guy who has 2 crocodile pets or something. And there was a line that this villain who has an eye patch says. He says, children should be seen, not heard. Which I was like, hey, like that is a big line, like for the show to include. Because what that line has meant for, I don't know how many generations, was always meant to be that children should be listening when adult friends come over to the parents' house or whatever and are hanging out. And children should be listening to what the adults are talking about and not contributing at all. No distracting. People should not even know that the kids are there, is basically what that line is about. And it eventually morphed to mean know your place from parent to the kids. And so it's like really interesting that the show included it, because a few minutes later, the villain also says, I clothe them, I house them, I discipline them, I've given them jobs, like this, that, and the other. And that struck me too, because I was like, a lot of people, a lot of parents get really defensive. I said, because a lot of parents defensively say that I house them, I feed them, whatever, whenever the parenting is questioned. And in my head, I was like, I wonder if that's what the show is going to explore, is a different type of parenting that parents do. Whether it's this evil villain guy, or not having parents at all because Batman has no parents, or father figures like Alfred. Like all these different relationships that everyday people experience every day. And I wonder if, like, that was on purpose. Like, that's not enough to feed them, to discipline them, to house them. You need to nurture them. You need to teach them. You need to lead them, all that. And I was like, wow, that was my favorite part of the episode, was everything with the villain. All the children stuff, whatever, I don't care. But I really love all the different lines that the villain said, because I was like, that just sounds like every other parent, like that I grew up with and heard from. like,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, pretty
shut up,
much.
kid. Like, stop talking. The adults are talking.
Yeah,
Go sit at the kids.
you have clothes on your back, food on your plate. Don't
Yeah,
complain.
and go sit at the kids' table during Thanksgiving. You're not allowed by the adults. Like, we're talking about adult stuff, like all that stuff, and that's what I was thinking of while watching and hearing these quotes. So it
That's
got
a
my
good
mind
point.
going.
Interesting.
Um, so I wrote here. I was like, I wonder if that's something that they'll tackle and that I'll keep my eye out for. And I didn't really notice too much after that. But I didn't write too much on the back half. But anything else on episode 6?
I think this episode really hits Batman hard because you know how he didn't have parents. I think
Mm-hmm.
when he sees these kids that are like underground and no love for them, I think it really hits him because you could tell it really tested his patience not to kill this guy who was the sewer king. That's what
Oh.
he's called in this episode. But he, I think Batman really wanted to kill him. He just holds everything back. And then like the actual, how could I say it? Like humbleness comes back to him where he's like, throw the cuffs on him, arrest him, because
Mm-hmm.
he even takes one of the kids to the house and tells Alfred, look after him, do this, that, and
Wash.
they're in
Oh
no
yeah, the
condition to be in your
gremlin.
house. The gremlin, and I think I think this is a big episode to do with Bruce Wayne and his past as well. I think he sees himself in these kids because you could
Oh
tell
yeah.
he's really disturbed with this guy. Like he's like, what does he tell him at the end when he's getting arrested? He tells him something really cold, like
Oh.
something about prison.
Yeah, it was something like you're not good enough to be in prison or something. Like you should be dead or something.
Yeah,
It was
something like
something.
that. He's like, you, phase off the lows of prison. I don't know what he said. He tells him some off. You're gonna loathe in. I don't know what he says at the end, but it's real cold. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm thinking in my head, it took everything for Batman to hold back on this guy, especially with kids. You could tell he hit a sensitive spot with him, but
Especially
he
since
still upholds the law.
yeah, especially since one of the kids that he ends up housing to Alfred, he is dressed up just like Batman. He's in the cape. He has a little hood on, like everything. So like maybe there's that kind of anxiety with Batman was like, oh my god, like there's what I could have been if Alfred
Yeah,
wasn't there, or if I didn't have the money that I inherited and all of that.
yeah, exactly. Sees a lot of himself in these kids,
So
and
I
it's real
really like.
interesting though.
Maybe I was a little harsh on it. I didn't like the beginning of it, but I think I really enjoyed the episode. Now that we're talking about it, because it is dealing
It's
with a lot
deep.
of
It's a deep
themes.
episode.
Yeah, it
I
wasn't
think it goes
fun.
beyond.
I'll say that. It's not a fun episode.
No, it's not one of the bottom ones, lower ones, but it has a good meaning. I should say a deep meaning towards.
Yeah, there's more lessons in this movie,
Yeah,
both
yeah,
for the kids and the adults. So fun for the whole family.
yeah. It's and you just see the kid tearing up the dinner that Alfred got. He's
Oh yeah.
stealing all the silverware, throwing it in his shirt every time, even when they're doing dishes. He's like,
I
that's
wash,
all
you
he knows. That's
dry.
how he was trained. And he's running, and all the stuff's falling out.
All the forks and knives, and he even steals
Yeah,
this like giant platter. He like stuffs it in a shirt, and it immediately falls out.
yeah, yeah. It's not a bad episode. It's not one of the
Oh
better
no, not
ones,
at
but
all.
yeah.
It's just not fun. You gotta
No, no.
turn your brain on for this one. But I guess the last episode I'll kind of do the deep dive on is episode
Okay.
7, POV. This is heavy on Bullock. I think the whole episode is based on him.
Yeah.
I said I hate Officer Bullock because he says that Batman caused the blunder at the little factory where the fire happened, and he says that Batman caused it, when in reality Bullock went in to try and stop the sting operation that was happening. And we also get a second witness who is talking all about what he witnessed and giving his side of the story, and he's missing details too. And this is when I started thinking about the classic film that I was texting you about. There's a great movie called Rashomon by Akira Kurosawa, who also did Yoshinbo and Seven Samurai, those films. Rashomon is all about a woman who is raped and then killed. And this movie's like from 1951. It's really fucking good. And so a couple weeks later, a traveler is walking through like torrential downpour, basically in Japan, and he sees the big Rashomon gate, which is a real gate that is like giant. It's like 3 stories high. A lot of travelers pass underneath it because it is part of a major highway, I think, from like the 1300s all the way to like the 1800s, and well, 1700s maybe. And this traveler stops because it's pouring down rain, and he sees another traveler kind of cooking bacon or something on the steps of this gate place. And one of them is like, hey, have you heard about the rape and death of this one woman? And he's like, yeah, I have. And I heard about, and he tells one side of the story where it's the kind of the boyfriend of the woman who was killed. He's like a consort because this woman is like a princess. And so she has a bodyguard, and the bodyguard gives his side of the story that this merchant is retelling to this other guy. And then the other merchant is like, no, but I heard that it was this. And he talks about from the bandit who got arrested and his point of view about what happened, which was, oh, the woman loved me. She was all over me. She was kissing me. When the other guy's like, no, he like fucking killed or took down the bodyguard and fucking raped her and then killed her and strangled her. And then we get another guy, and it's like all these different perspectives on it. And each of them have one kernel of truth. And we don't get the answer of what actually happened. And this episode is very much like that, where we get all these different perspectives about what happened, but it's pretty spelled out what actually happened in this movie, or in this TV show, because we're not watching some 1950s epic Japanese film. We're not like in film studies right now. We're talking about Batman. So they spell it out a lot more in the show, but I really love that aspect of this episode, was this unreliable narrative of all these different characters being like, no, but I saw this. No, but I saw that. And we also have a guest appearance on this episode. Not to just immediately move on to something else, but we have a character named Driller. I have no idea who he was. He was in the credits, though, because he was voiced by none other than Ron Perlman.
No way. Oh, wow.
Yeah. I guess right after his...
Hellboy himself, huh?
Yeah, like, it shocked me. I did not even notice him. I did not even process that there was a character named Driller, which in my head I was like, Driller Killer. Driller Killer's a villain in this movie, or in this TV show. But, yeah, Ron Perlman was in this movie, or in the show too, which I was shocked about. I was like, really? Like, didn't even know that.
See, I'm glad you did this, because I didn't catch none of these. It's good, interesting to hear about. I mean,
that's about all I have for this episode. I love this episode. It's probably one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's interesting in a different take, because you said stories change, and I mean, you have Bullock who's totally shitting on Batman. He doesn't like him. You could tell. He's like, he created the whole thing and all that, and started the fire, the fires that's going on.
He tripped over
and
like
then,
a coke can. He's like, yeah, Batman did that.
Yeah, everything blamed on Batman. And then you have the cops who, no, Batman actually helped us. He got us out of there. You know what I mean? And Bullock's like, oh, just let him burn, let him rot, pretty much, because he's not even saying what happened to him.
Let
they
them
don't
die.
even care. But to me the standout's the cop Montoya, the female.
Oh
I
yeah,
loved her character in this
she earned
episode
her
because
badge.
yeah, I was really impressed with her. I was like, she went back. She pretty much rescues Batman. He's captured, and these guys are tormenting him, whatever. And the rescue just badass, dude. That character this in this episode, and it's funny because towards the end she's giving the badges back. They get their badges reinstated, and even though Bollock was a total scum, she still gives it to him. Like, here, you're forgiven. And he doesn't know how to respond. He's like, thank you, thank you. So
And
she's just like kind of showing that I guess good could override evil at times. I don't know. That's what I got out
yeah,
of it.
one thing I was thinking of is Borlock sounds like the word bollocks. Like he's bollocks. He's bullshit.
Yeah.
I just thought of
Bollocks.
that. I was like, oh,
Okay, yeah.
that's pretty funny. Oh,
And he's got to
bollocks.
be the most hated character out of this
Oh
series.
yeah, he's
Like,
awful.
yeah. Just filled with jealousy on Batman. And I mean, they even Batman rescues him from that fire, and he's still like, ah, whatever. He still started everything. He'll look at something else to blame him for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
Yeah, this is probably
yeah,
my
this episode
favorite.
was good.
I didn't go
It's a good
through
one.
and rate, my top three or anything, but this one's definitely up there. And
I
it's
didn't
because
either.
of that Kurosawa connection that I noticed. I was like, wait a minute, we're getting different
That's
perspectives.
interesting.
And it's told exactly the same way because we see the flashbacks as they are talking about it in Rashomon. And it's the same way in this episode, so I, of course, had to bring that in.
That's awesome. Yeah, I got
toothed vaginas in this, but
no, no disturbing images that have to that'll stay in my head in this one.
so I guess it's your turn.
That's all. That's all I got. Okay. Let's. Okay, we're gonna get into episode 8, Forgotten, and this one. Let me get a refresher here. This one I didn't have a lot of notes on.
Yeah, this is actually my least favorite. This is definitely.
Yeah, this one I think I didn't really care for that much either, even though we got pretty much Bruce Wayne going undercover in disguise, and I like that. That reminds me a lot of like Bruce Lee films where he
Oh
goes
yeah.
like, I mean, Chinese Connection, where he's wearing the glasses. I like that kind of stuff. So I was impressed with that part, but he goes undercover pretty much to this area where he's slave driven. He's captured,
Yeah, he gets hit in the head
and
and he forgets who he is. Like, I did not like
yeah,
it.
he gets hit in the. Yeah, I didn't. I mean, Batman's been hit a million times and nothing's made him lose his memory. Must have been a special hit. But yeah, he's put in this gel and he's pretty much put in like a. It reminded me a lot of that movie Life with Martin Lawrence and Eddie Murphy. I don't know why. It just had the music vibe to it, and where they're just in a prison, kind of being slave driven by this guy that can't stop eating. He's like a large guy and he's
Oh yeah,
always pigging out on stuff. He's just
I got stuff to
scum
say
pretty
on
much.
that.
But you got Bruce Wayne going to his roots. I like the fight scenes throughout the thing because he's like
Yeah.
they're hand to hand combat, and there's a prisoner with him that tells him that needs to get his family, and he's like, you're trained to fight. I can tell that because he can't tell who he is. He can't remember Bruce Wayne, and he's like, you're a pretty tough guy, and he's like, I must have been. He's like trying to remember where or what. And
If only
you're
he
like,
had
man,
his
you were
wallet.
Batman.
Who
Yeah,
am I?
have a bat flying. Have a bat flying out of the cave so he could just get a memory or something. But
Oh, one thing
yeah,
I've thought about is that we don't see the bat signal in any of these episodes.
that's true. Yeah,
Huh.
I didn't see that at all either.
I just thought of that. I
Wow.
was like, huh.
Come on, Gordon, you gotta flash the light towards the moon, the sky, or whatever.
And it's like the big one, so
It's true. I didn't catch that.
they're.
Huh, different. But yeah, this one's just all right. I don't have a lot to say on this episode. I'm honest. It's just it's okay. Like you get Batman
Yeah.
fighting in the late of this episode, but it's I do like the when Alfred's flying the bat thing.
Oh
It's
yeah.
pretty hilarious. He's going through like canyons and stuff like that, and
He doesn't have a
he's
seatbelt
holding
on.
on for his life. Yeah,
That bothered me. I was like, come on, put your
that
seatbelt on.
yeah. You're facing the pretty much death in front of you, and you're not even safely put in there. I think it would have a bat seatbelt that would come out and like protected or something, or something like that.
Yeah,
Talk
sounds
because
puts on like
the
a
ship
fake.
talks. It's talking to Alfred.
Oh yeah, he says like your funeral. When he
Mhm.
tries to land, he's like, land now.
Yeah,
No, it's too dangerous. Land now. No. Land now. It's your funeral. And then just poof, just lands.
yeah, it just lands in the middle. But yeah, I like I said, it's one of the lower episodes for me, so I don't have a whole lot to say on it. That's pretty much all I got.
Yeah, one thing that I noticed, because this is what I was thinking of, I was kind of bored through this episode. I was like, oh no, Batman is passed out the entire episode, which a future episode in this disc is the same way, but it's so much better done. But in this episode, all I could think of was the old, like, 1910s political cartoons that you saw in the newspaper of the fat, greedy capitalists who were stamping out unions and all
Hmm.
of that. It's the exact same image that Mr. Biggest, which his name, the guy's name is the villain, which I love that name, Mr. Biggest. He's the biggest guy.
Yeah,
He's a spitting image of your 1910s greedy capitalist who is. It kind of reminds me of the cartoon where he like is in some of the newspapers where someone is holding like a big platter of like a big mountain of like spring rolls or bread and stuff, and one guy is like, "Can I please just have a bite?" And the capitalist is like, "No, this is all mine. I worked hard for it." And the entire episode, he's saying exactly the same thing. He's like, "Come on, they gotta give us double the gold." And he's like, "Oh, you guys aren't working hard enough." And
yeah,
he's just like eating, and like I felt like this episode was very pretty anti-capitalist. And I was like, huh, like, because he looks exactly the
yeah.
same. So that was the only interesting part I noticed.
He has the on his shirt. You see all that, and he's eating the turkey or you know, his turkey leg down to the bone.
Yeah,
You even see the bone just showing. You're like,
he's eating
I don't
like
know.
every morsel, and everyone else is like passing out and being sad. And I kind of Batman was just kind of
Yeah,
useless in this episode, and like nobody else was an interesting character.
it doesn't do much.
Like Alfred was the best part of the episode, in my opinion.
Yeah, most entertainment. Seen him try to drive the bat thing, whatever it's called, that flies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I got on this one. I didn't. It's on the lower end for me.
Yep.
Should we go on to the next one here, episode 9?
Yep. Go on ahead.
So we're going to be a clown. So you right away know what you're getting
Yeah, I
into
know.
here. Joker's returning. But yeah, this one's interesting. You got the mayor showing in here, and his son's kidnapped by the Joker, and kind of how has an interesting story because you have a son disconnected with his father. His father's
Oh
about
yeah.
him, attention. He's political, and you got the son who's rebelling. You could tell he's not getting the attention he needs, so I mean, it's kind of like a teenage trope what a teenager will go through. So he kind of sides with the Joker. Joker shows up as this clown. I forgot what his name was, hilarious.
Oh,
And he's
Jekko
at the
something.
Jekko. There you go.
Yeah.
And he's doing like tricks at a party, but his intentions are to pretty much blow the adults away. And you got him showed up, and I was like, "Who's this clown? Is this a new villain?" But then I recognized the voice, and you look at his eyes. I just look straight at his eyes, and you could tell it's Joker under there.
There's a really funny
So I was
moment
like,
in this
he got,
episode where he like he does the dramatic reveal of who the Joker is and looks exactly the same as his like undercover
Yeah, it's like
makeup. I'm like, come on, like no one noticed.
it's definitely the Joker. And then you got Bruce Wayne who shows up at the party present, and he's suspicious already. He's like, who's this character? He looks at the cake and he sees the dynamite with the Joker symbol on it, and he's like, oh man, I gotta go into Batman mode. Goes to attack, throw it away, throws it in the pool, whatever, saves the day. No one's hurt. And you got the kid who rebels, he runs away and he jumps. He's not forced in, he jumps in with a Joker. Well, what's Gecko the clown or Jekko the clown?
Yeah,
I can't
Jekko.
get the name. But Jekko the clown, but he takes off with him. He wants to learn magician work. Joker's got him brainwashed, so he has him doing pretty much like the dirty work, and you pretty much get the sense of what I got out of this is like a teen runaway who goes and makes the wrong decisions. I mean, this happens constantly, and they just want to get put away. They're rebelling on their parent, but they don't know what they're getting into. As he gets more and more deep, he starts to realize, this Joker dude ain't a good guy. He's just using me or whatever. He wants to do harm. So that's the deep meaning of this is what I got out of it. But this one's fun. I like the Joker's gadgets. I'm a sucker for anything in an amusement park, and you get a good view of that throughout this episode.
It's even
You
called the
get
Fun House, just like Toby Hooper.
the fun house, which Toby Hooper reference. I don't know. But yeah, it's just a lot of fun. I mean, you get more Batman towards the end, but he's not shown through a lot through this one either till he goes to the rescue, of course. But yeah, this one's not bad. I would put it average episode.
Yeah, I think I
But
had it. Probably I would have it just above average. Um,
mhm.
but I didn't really like go in trying to rank these. But this is like any of them with Joker. I mean, it's gonna be good. This is gonna be worth the time.
Yeah, yeah. Just alone to see that, which I'll always enjoy that. And I'm always looking for the top villains. I'm interested to see when they show up. Of course, Joker's the main one. You can't go wrong with him. But yeah, this one kept me entertained throughout, and I did like it. Like I said, the amusement park setting was my highlight for this episode.
Oh yeah, it was great. I love the
I
little
like.
trap that Joker put Batman into, where he's like upside down, submerged in water, handcuffed, like bag over his head,
Oh
like
yeah, yeah.
everything. His feet are like plastered in, like, and the kid is like, "How's
And
he
he's
gonna
like the
get
little,
out?"
and Joker's like, "That's the plan. He can't get out."
Yeah, it's like you idiot.
Yeah. He's like, "That's my motivation to kill the Batman," but he doesn't know. But yeah, it's a good. Anytime Joker and Batman battle, it's always entertaining.
Hmm.
And yeah, I enjoyed it too. I'll say probably slightly above average. But that's all I gotta say. If you have anything else to say on this one,
I
go for it.
don't. Do you want to, for this next episode, combine 10 and 11 and just talk about Two Face as a whole? Because I set up my notes
Yeah,
that way. So,
that's fine.
okay.
I could work with that for sure. So let's go into episode 10. This is the actual part one and part two, and these are what I used to look forward to growing up. Because I'd get out of school and I'd be like, oh, we got to me, it was like a feature film to me. And
Yeah,
this
that's
is
what it
two
felt
episodes
like.
combined. Yeah. So I'd be real excited when I got out of school. I'd be like, oh man, I'd call it the finale,
Oh, yeah.
even though it wasn't. But
That's how it was
as a kid, you get,
when I was growing up. We always had the crossovers with like Jimmy Neutron and Timmy
yeah,
Turner from like Very Odd Parents and Jimmy Neutron. That's the
yeah, I
only
remember that.
equivalents that I have.
But yeah, this one we get into, and these are what I look forward to are the part one, part twos. And we got Two Face, part one, part two. So we're gonna get deep in here to Harvey Dent's character, who starts off as the DA, the good guy, fighting crime, putting bad guys away. trying to at least. But he, what we get through this episode is his mental illness problems,
Yeah.
which he, which I didn't know he had since he was young, a kid. It explains it throughout this, and he's dealing with two personalities, and you start to see it when he's this charming guy trying to go straight, but then when something goes wrong, he has like this anger temper that lead him mad, and he's pushed by gangs. I mean, you got an introduction to Rupert Thorne, one of the crime bosses in this one, and he's kind of instigating him. He wants to get rid of him, so he's kind of like leading him to a path to flip out. But you see the love interest with Harvey Dent, and he's badly in love with this woman who's in love with him, but at the same time, there's two sides to him. You're seeing him go to the other side, and it's real interesting. This is a good character study on I think the best one I've seen out of the series because
Yeah, I
and I
agree.
think that's why I love this episode so much. 'Cause this is my favorite episode, just to let you guys know. But
It's up there for me.
yeah, it's I've always been fascinated with the character of Two Face, Harvey Dent, because he's Bruce Wayne's best friend, one of his best friends, and you could just see his struggles, and Bruce Wayne cares about him as well as Batman. You see him just trying to fix it, but he can't. This guy's just got too much. He's got mental issues, and he could flip at any moment. And it's real interesting because he takes a like a like a trope into mental illness, and the flip of the coin makes him flip, which
Oh,
I
yeah,
thought
yeah.
reminded me of a lot. Like I don't know if correct, but people they test people with hypnosis stuff like that, and I think of that coin as like a hypnosis where he flips pretty much like his personality would, if that makes any sense. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Because I remember,
yeah,
I think in the first episode, the first time that he changes to Evil Hardy, whatever that nickname he had was, the first time he flips a coin, he just does it like somehow. I don't know. But like,
it's like a
he's just
flip.
like, yeah, he flips the coin. He's like, oh no, no, no. Like, because he knows it's coming. And it hasn't happened in quite a while. From what I remember, because soon after that, they're like, "Oh, hey, like we dug up all this stuff, at your psychiatrist," and he's like,
Yeah,
"Ah, all this stuff." And this was, I think, the best. Well, I mean, there's only one other movie that has Harvey Dent, and that's the Christopher Nolan one. And I think this was a whole lot more interesting than that one.
but yeah,
I mean, it's well acted and well written, but like, I had no idea that he actually had like a mental illness. Like, that was
since he
not.
was a kid,
Yeah,
like
that
a
wasn't
child.
covered at all in the movie.
Yeah,
He just got mad at one day because something. Like, his motivations aren't really explained in the movie, and this is like very clear cut. like like he's being pushed by the gangs to do whatever they want. And Batman is there as his friend. And he also has Bruce Wayne, who he doesn't know is also Batman. Like, so there's
yeah,
all these different sides, and Joker is nowhere to be found in these two episodes either. So,
no, and you could tell they care about him. They're like, even Bruce Wayne, Batman even tells him, "There's people out here that love you and care about you, and we want to get you right."
and his
But in
exes, like,
his mind, he's in denial. He's like, "Nah, I don't. I need to win this election. I'm all
mm-hmm,
right. I could do this, that." But he doesn't know what that other side can trigger, and it shows. And I think the only thing that calms him down is that fiance or girl he's seen. Once he sees her, he's
mm-hmm,
like, you'll see the good come out again. But then any little thing will trigger him, and it's really interesting because even though they're at odds, Batman and Two Face, you still see them teaming up. They're fighting. I mean, this with Thorne's gang, they're still fighting together, and you see the unite, but then you see the other side that he wants to be villainous, and the other side takes over him, which the psychiatrist points out in a scene where she's doing like, what do you call it, like a experiment on him, or what would you call it, where she's sitting him down and just like therapy.
Oh,
and she's
yeah. Like a
she
meditation session or something.
where she sends him into evil Harvey, and she realizes this guy can't be controlled no more. It's gotten so bad now that he it's worrisome because he's grabbing her and shaking the psychiatrist pretty much,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, "Snap out of it, snap, or I'm dead," or something like that. And you're like, she's like, it's gone. So she's terrified of him flipping to that side, and it's real sad
Mm-hmm.
because he has a good side, but the bad side's taking over him. And
You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become a villain.
there you go, there you
Bam.
go. The perfect save. Because like you said in the movies, it's done good. I mean, Dark Knight. You see, even the Tim Burton Batman's. You see Two Face, but it's like a guest appearance. You don't really see.
Huh.
It's Tommy Lee Jones as Two Face,
Oh
and
yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah,
he's
I
real
haven't seen it.
random. He's not even a main character. He's like a side guy. You just see him go and come, and you're like,
Well,
really?
that was the issue I heard about that movie is that they had like 12 different villains for like one movie.
All piled up, and
Because
it's too much.
because I think Tim Burton said later like they knew they weren't gonna be given a third movie, so they were like, "Fuck it, just put everything we want in there,
Go
and we'll
all
just
out.
do our best."
But this episode really dives deep into Harvey Dent,
Yeah,
which I loved.
I loved it. I also
And
really,
and
hmm?
Two Face ain't even my favorite villain, and he just became that from watching this episode.
Oh yeah,
Well, could I call him anti-hero? I don't think he's full villain.
yeah, anti-hero, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that's all I got on this episode. I absolutely loved it.
There's a really great visual when Two Face is in his like lair or home base, where he's like one half of it is like really organized and clean and nice looking, and the other half is like all fucked up. And he's like, "Yeah, that's supposed to signify the chaos and order of my life." And I really like that. I was like, "Oh hey," I was like, "This gives him so much more depth than the movies did."
Uh,
Like I got
I,
nothing out of him.
I like when the Batman throws the coin in the well at the end. He's all rest
Oh
well.
yeah,
Yeah, I thought
he's like,
that
"I
was.
need my coin. I can't decide if I don't have my coin."
And Batman just throws a bunch of coins, confuses the hell out of
Yeah,
them.
yeah, because they're in the bank, I think, and he just pushes over like a coin box or something.
And he's like, no, he's going like, I can't. He's going insane. He needs
Hey,
help.
he didn't have to shoot him in the head, whatever he does in the movies. And he's like,
Yeah,
"Pin the crime on me," and he like
yeah.
drives away on his motorcycle after shooting Harvey Dent in the
Hollywood style.
face.
This one's deeper. And then you even see at the end them taking him to like a facility, where he's gonna be I don't know, how would you say it? Evaluated maybe
Yeah,
or
evaluated.
taken care of, I guess. I don't know, therapy. Yeah. But it's a lot more interesting of Two-Face story than I've seen on any Batman
Oh yeah.
format. But that's all I got on that one. This was my favorite episode. I texted you and told you I loved
Yep.
this one.
And I was about to start watching it too, and I was like, "Oh, here we go!" Like, I'm strapped
Yeah.
in. I'm ready.
I was like, this is the one I love. This is the one I'm about. It dives deep into this character.
And when I think we're halfway through the season, I think, because there are 2 discs per season, I believe. I have the thing out. I'm counting.
Okay, I don't. So good you do.
There's a disc 5. My discs are falling out.
Oh, that's never good. I hate that.
There we go. Okay. So there's 4 discs. Yeah, 5 discs for season 1. And one, well, no. I forgot. There's a whole nother thing in here.
Another one. It's loaded.
Wow. Yeah, there's a lot. Jesus. Okay. I think I found the special features. There's a whole disc, 2
Oh
discs
wow.
for it. So that might be where the introductions are. And there's also the two movies, which I don't know if we'll do, but if we have time, I'm down. But
I've seen Mask of Phantasm. It's excellent.
oh yeah, okay,
Yeah.
then I'll watch it eventually. Anything else on that?
No, that's all I got. If you have anything else, go ahead.
Just that visual of his room just struck me. I was like, oh hey, I was like, that's visually fascinating to look at.
And it has meaning. I mean, it shows the two sides,
Yep,
the yin and the yang of his character.
the two faces of his identity.
Yeah, there's even a scene where the villain, what's his name, the Thorpe,
Thorn.
he goes
Yeah.
Thorn. There you go. Hey man, I'm getting confused. He goes up to Two Face. He's like, "We finally get to meet face to face to face." He goes, "Get another face."
I didn't even notice
I was
that.
like, yeah, I was like, "Oh my god."
I need to rewatch that. I missed that. That would have been my favorite quote. I think.
Yeah.
Face to
He goes
face
to
to
the
face.
multiple faces. I'm like, oh man, that ends it good right there. But ready to go into the next episode here.
Yep.
So we'll go into episode 12. It's never too late, and this is pretty much a continuation of the crime bosses. You got a new one that shows up, an older one, and he's Arnold Stromwell. I kept calling him Arnie, and it's funny because they were calling him that
Yep.
through the show. But yeah, I like this episode a lot too. I really liked it. I like deep dives into characters, and you get that for one of the villains, Arnold Strom Arnold Stromwell is his name, and he's a rival of Thorn. Did I say it right again? Thorn.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
Rupert Thorn, and Rupert Thorn's pretty much the new villain. He's the one up and coming, and Stromwell's the old one. He's been around in the life of crime, and pretty much Thorn's trying to take over the city. But like Stromwell's like, this is still my city, so they're at odds. And then you got a backstory on Stromwell where tragedy has happened. I mean, he had an issue where he has a fear of trains,
Oh yeah.
and it shows through the episodes. And you could tell he was, I don't know if good at once, but he had good intentions, but he just got led the wrong way. And you have Batman trying to rehabilitate him in this episode. He's trying to bring him back to normality and to help out because he needs his help to stop this crime in here. And that's the challenge of this episode. And it's a redemption story. But yeah, it's real heartfelt. I like the story, and then you realize this character, he's led bad, and he has somebody who's trying to help him, and they go through they meet years later. One's a priest, and then he's a crime boss. And as they meet up, he's like, "You always had good intentions. You just didn't go the right path." He's trying to, and then he tells him, "Well, I like it this way." He was selling drugs, and then he finds out through his own family his doing did wrong. Has his son's addicted to drugs, and it shows a scene there where Batman takes him and shows him his son what he's doing. And he's going through withdrawals for drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't do that, or whatever. He's like, "Yes, you did. Your guy sold him that behind your back or whatever." And he's like, that's where I think he completely breaks down. He's like, "I can't be doing this no more. I'm poisoning my own kind by selling drugs." And it's real interesting. I just love backstories like that. And you get the fight, and you get Strong. I'll turn into this positive guy, and then you later on find out the actual priest, the guy he grew up with since a kid, was his brother. So you're like,
Yeah.
oh wow, it's like a good story put together well, and you get some fights. You get I like that because I'm a fan of mafia films, and you get that film of this. They're like at restaurants, and you got like the mafia gangs running it. I love that kind of stuff, like scenery, and they're trying to stronghold each other.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you go to a restaurant where he's trying to take out his old nemesis, and with an explosion, and Batman saves the day, of course. And it's an all around fun episode, I thought personally. But another interesting character piece in this one on Arnie.
Oh yeah.
But
That was one of the things I noticed because in my notes or in my head, I thought it was 4 episodes that we had Thorn and his friend, but it's just the Two Face episodes in this one. And I was like, yeah, that's a small little arc plot line that they had, like running beneath all those 2 episodes, and then this one it like became the priority to tell the story. And I was like, I like this a lot. I wouldn't say it's anywhere near the top, but I mean it's average to me. Which I mean, just
You don't
like
get a whole lot of action, Batman action in this one.
yeah, which I was fine with. I mean, we don't need every episode to be Batman, but I've never heard of these characters outside of these 3 episodes, so I don't know if they're established like comic
Yeah.
characters or not, but I like them.
Yeah, I do
They
too.
were great. They were not voiced by anybody. I was kind of shocked. I didn't even recognize the name, so I thought it would be like some random like star, but I'll keep my eyes out for any other people. But I said I
Good.
really like the two villains' relationship with each other, how they grew up together, and one of them got the foot stuck in the railroad track, and they were like, "Get out, get out, get out, jump, jump!" like, and then he jumped in the last second. That's where his fear came from, because he was like half a second early before getting hit by a train. He would have been vaporized probably.
And then there's another train coming at him, so he's like, I'm screwed. But then he gets saved by his friend, that's later on his brother.
Mm-hmm.
So it's crazy because he has a wooden leg. His brother from that accident, he's all knocking on his leg, like,
Oh,
which I thought he got brutalized by the train. I thought he got smashed,
that's what I assumed too. I was like, oh dang, like he knows all
but
about dangerous trains. I guess. I don't know.
yeah, it's different. That's what I like about this series. Is it sticks by the villains in the comic, but then you get these outside stories like whoa, which I don't know. They could be comic because I haven't read them, but
Yeah, I really like how it's not like villain of the week every episode. I mean, you get your Joker episodes; they're fun. You get one Two Face episode, technically two. You get a Poison Ivy one, which I wasn't focused on her. I was focused on the hooked vagina. I think that was the more memorable villain. She didn't really do much. I think she voiced Poison Ivy in the game too. It
oh
sounded
well.
pretty similar. And if they got Kevin Conroy to do it, then I'm sure they got her. But
Yeah,
I really need to replay those games now. Now that I've heard
yeah,
that fun fact. But yeah, overall, it was a pretty good episode.
yeah. I agree. I liked it. Like I said, I like backstories. I've always been fascinated by that. There's times you don't need to use them. Don't get me wrong, but
Mm-hmm.
like on that one, it's interesting to build up a character you've never heard of and just hear and you're like, oh wow, this
Mm-hmm.
guy's been roaming Gotham for that long and he got his story. Because he's like the probably almost retired crime boss. He's been around forever doing destruction through Gotham or whatever. But yeah, interesting story on that one. I think it's different, that way different. But
Mm-hmm.
that's all I got on that episode. If you got anything else,
I don't. I just like the relationship. That was all I added.
that's the strong point. So wow, we're going to that last episode here, right? Episode 13 already. So we're gonna get to I've got Batman in my basement, and this made me laugh out loud when I heard the title. I
I
was
saw
like,
that title. I was like, "What?" I was like, what's gonna happen this episode?"
who kidnapped Batman and put him in their basement? That's crazy.
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah,
That was my
Jeffrey
first
Dahmer.
thought. I was like, "Serial killer guy."
Yeah,
I was like, "Uh oh." Rated R for the
but
one episode.
for the one episode, it's like
Someone's eating Batman. Oh, it's Scarecrow. He hits Jeffrey Dahmer, and Jeffrey Dahmer has to fight off Batman in his basement.
Jeffrey Dahmer's like, I like bat wings. Oh man. Well, anyways, this is the more kitty episode. I'm gonna say.
Oh, I kind of love
Uh,
this episode. It was very
I
wholesome.
liked it too. This one has the pretty much kids that are investing. I mean, you got this cool kid. What was his name? Sherman, and
Sherman
he's
and Roberta.
yeah, he
Roberta
Roberta.
Finley.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a
she, she's
crazy
solving
director.
crimes.
Yeah.
Hey, she's
In the
pretty
Bronx.
awesome. I
Oh, I,
like
I
that.
love Roberta Finley. Yeah, she's awesome. But anyways, you got this is I called this the Home Alone episode
Yeah.
because it has a lot of Home Alone in it, and we get the pretty much the first appearance of the Penguin, which I'd been looking forward to.
Yeah. I didn't write that down, but yeah.
And I was like, I kept thinking in my head, Danny DeVito. I don't know why. Well,
I
I
kept
do know
thinking
why.
Colin Farrell.
Colin, yeah. So it's this one's pretty interesting because you got Batman who shows up, but he's kind of not strong in this one. He gets poisoned by the Penguin. He
hmm
puts him out with that killer umbrella he's got and stuff like that. And you got him trying to steal this egg. I don't know what the purpose for stealing this like diamond jewelry egg is, but he really wants it. And you get him, it gets in his hands, taken away, and into the hands of these two kids, which they pretty much are. This kid Sherman's kind of like a miniature detective. He's out for fun. He wants to it pretty much discover stuff and explore. He runs in, of course, to Batman. He's blown away. They even get in his Batmobile and start driving it, both kids, and while Batman's knocked out. And
They're crashing
that's how
into
he
the
winds up in their
walls.
basement. And you got two bullies in here. One reminded me of the bully from It. I don't know why he reminded me of him.
Honestly, I see it. I was thinking
Even
of
the
it, but
appearance.
I didn't remember the source of it. But that was the headcanon I had too.
And he's kind of hassling this kid, man, just picking on him, poorly bullying him, and you could tell this kid's different. You know what I mean? He's smart and he's in a whole nother thing, and I guess that's why they probably mess with him. But he turns into a fun character. I called him Batman's sidekick in this episode because
He
he
should be
he looks out
Robin.
for Batman. He's the Robin of this episode. He is, and they take care of Batman, take him to the basement. They tell the mom, "We've got Batman in our basement." She's like, "What? Okay, have fun." You know, like,
Don't get in trouble.
like
Okay,
don't get
mom.
in trouble. Don't make a mess. I'll be back. But they actually do have Batman in the basement, and they're trying to pretty much uncover what's going on. And at the same time, you got a vulture that's tracking them down. He's relentless. He scrapes up Batman pretty bad in this episode, and he's pretty much you find out he's Penguin's like how would you say it, hunting dog, if I'd put it like that. He
Yeah,
hunts for him, and
like a spy.
they yeah, and they lead him to the house where they want to get that egg, and you got the bullies team up with the kids to protect Batman, which I thought was different. You don't have
That
Batman.
was so nice to see.
Yeah,
I was
and
like,
that's where
thank God.
I got the Home Alone stuff from. But yeah, it's a fun one. I think it's different to have them. You know, you can't always have them fighting in the city. This changes it up. It goes to kind of like a neighborhood, I'd say. I don't know if it's
Yeah,
suburban neighborhood, but it gave me Home Alone vibes through this one. But really interesting. I like this one too, and I like when the mom actually goes to the basement and sees Batman standing there, and she just like freaks out, like my kid wasn't. It's not his imagination. He's really here, or whatever. But I also like Penguin's umbrella, how he uses it to like
oh yeah.
open doors or do. Yeah, I thought that was real cool.
He melts
But
the doorknobs and they just fall.
it
And they
falls,
tear
yeah.
shit up in the house too. He's like, Sherman, the mom is, and it's like, uh
I, I was waiting for Sherman to come out with his dad's shaving cream and slap his face with it, or
oh.
after cologne
Ah!
shaving. Yeah, no, but yeah, this one's fun. It's a you could see that it's not all focused on Batman. You got like this kid Sherman who stands out. But yeah, I thought this one was pretty good, solid. I like
Yeah,
it. If you
this
have
was
anything to say on it,
this was one of my favorite. I wouldn't say it's like top three, but I think top five would be fair if we have Two Face as one episode, not two. Roberta
Yeah.
Fenley was a lot of fun. She was a great sidekick to our sidekick of Batman. I mean, it's like a chain of sidekicks. But yeah, it was wonderful. I like when the bullies find the Batmobile, and they're like, "Wow, this is really cool." And Sherman is like, "Oh yeah, that's my mom. I mean, my uncle's." And they're like, "Yeah, okay." It's like, "Okay, it's Batman's." Oh, okay. Actually, that could be real. That could be truth. And they like start messing with it, and he's like, "Oh, what are these capsules? These capsules look very weird." And he's like, "Oh, duh, that's what Batman needed." It's like,
He's all yelling on the couch, dying.
and
Capsules.
one of my favorite lines from Roberta Fenley was how she was like, "Oh, Sherman is like, wow, what does he mean by capsule or something?" And she's like, "Okay, that is enough mystery for me today." It's like
Sounds
it's
exactly
like
like her.
it's like it hasn't even started yet.
Yeah.
It's like they just put Batman like on the couch. Like, come on. It's like this
Nothing's even
mystery's
happened
not
yet.
done.
Yeah, it's interesting. I like the take of it. I like the neighborhood and
Hmm.
kind of like I'd say goosebumpish, like goosebumps. It could be like
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
And I love how the vulture gets locked up in the local zoo as like a very unique specimen, I think they call it, on a little newspaper thing that spins and
Yeah.
it's like, bam!
And they're like the pint-sized penguin or something it says on the paper. I
Oh,
don't know what
yeah,
it says.
it's like, uh, uh, it's like something pitched, poppin' penguin or something. It's like 6 words straight of peas. I'm like, wow,
Yeah, yeah.
someone really smart wrote that one.
Wrote
I could
that
never.
one. I can't even say it. That's why I just kind of
Yep.
guessed on it.
I should have wrote it down, but it was fun. I really like this episode. I'm happy it was the last one that we had to watch.
It ended in a good note for sure.
So that is about it for today. I guess we'll do the next disc. Do you want to do it next week, Friday night or Saturday?
Whatever
It's
you want to do.
Thanksgiving time. I don't know what your schedule is, but I'm gonna try to come back here by Friday afternoon. But I'll be watching it, I think, throughout.
Uh,
But I guess, do you want to do the first 7 and then I do the 6?
yeah, we could do that. That'll work.
Cool.
On the next disc for the
Yep.
next one.
Yep.
Yeah, that'll work.
Because it's 13 discs on every. Oh, 13 discs. It's 13 episodes per disc. So,
Yeah, that'll work. That'll be fine.
cool. Well, anything else? We're at exactly 2 hours.
Wow. No, that's all I gotta say is I look forward to more. This has been pretty fun, man. A lot to revisit these. They're done well, and I can't wait to dive into the next ones pretty much. But that's all I gotta say. I think I wore out my notes already for the evening.
Oh, yeah, same here. I'm very curious because it's 109 episodes, this series. And we've seen 13 now. So we have less than 100. We have 96 episodes left, which,
Wow.
feels a lot easier than 109. But I don't know what other the Rhino. We haven't seen him. He's a DC guy, right? Or is that Spider Man? I guess
Yeah.
Spider Man.
I don't know.
Um,
I know Killer Croc was one I was
yeah,
anticipating in
yeah,
that
that's
sewer
what
episode.
so was I. Yeah, I forgot his name, but um,
We got a Mr. Freeze is one I'm looking forward
oh
to. I don't know if
yeah,
he'll
yeah.
pop up.
I'm trying to think anyone else. More Poison Ivy without the vagina monster. I think
Yeah,
that would be nice.
that'd be nice.
But
Catwoman. I'm looking forward to seeing
Catwoman, yeah.
Catwoman.
I think there
Yeah,
was a slight tease about her somewhere
yeah.
in this 13 episodes. But yeah, we'll keep our eyes out, I guess.
Hmm.
Thank you, everyone, for watching, and thank you again for joining with me today.
Thank you, Christian, for having me, man. It's always fun, and I look forward to the next episode.
Cool.